Hey everybody, I want to talk about cognitive dissonance. Actually, I want to tie this into several things. Cognitive dissonance and the role that the internet plays in self-soothing, into anesthetizing and euthanizing our intellect. Cognitive dissonance is whenever something that you believe to be true and is at the core of your personal values, when you get presented evidence to the contrary of a very deeply held belief, you tend to reject that evidence in favor of your deeply held belief. There's a comedian, Mitch Hedberg, said this statement: when I'm out on the road, I write a lot of my jokes while I'm on the road in the hotel. So whenever I think of something funny, I gotta write it down. Or if the pin is too far away, I have to convince myself that what I thought of ain't funny. That's a perfect example of cognitive dissonance. Whenever you believe something and then something gets presented right in your face that goes against it, you tend to get very uncomfortable, and you tend to take the happy path back to a comfortable existence. A lot of us know what that's like when you start to see signs of infidelity in your relationship. And you think, no, this is my husband, this is my wife, this is my boyfriend or girlfriend. They tell me they love me all the time, that they would never cheat. I trust them. I have my trust issues. And then you find out that they were actually cheating that whole time. Now that's an example of cognitive dissonance that you cannot ignore. It's just there in your face, and then you have to make a conscious decision of what you're going to do. But besides that example, 90 to 95% of the time, it's something that is far less consequential. It's far more innocuous what it means. It could be as simple as, well, I don't know, just smaller stuff, you know. But where does the internet come into play with this? The internet used to be called the information superhighway. And since the advent of smartphones, it's no longer an information superhighway. It's a dirty ass pool of data. That's what it is. Think about when you want to go swimming in a swimming pool, not necessarily in a river, or lake, or ocean, whatever, but a swimming pool. You have certain minimum standards that you apply to the pool that will allow you to get in and swim and enjoy yourself. The water's got to be clear. It has to be relatively pee and poo free. It has to be warm enough. Can't be too cold. And there can't be a whole lot of people in there, because there's a lot of buttholes, and that certainly taints the water, and you don't want to swim in neighbor soup. Right? But even with all those criteria being met, you get into the pool with the understanding that at any given time, somebody could come with their little kid and put their kid in the pool with their little swimmers on, and you get out of the pool, because you know what that means. And because you understand that at any given time, somebody could come in and the little kid could taint the pool. Whole group of people could suddenly come in and sit down next to you and ta-da, neighbor soup. All of these things can affect the pool, and then you realize this is not the water I want to be swimming in. You get out. It's not so obvious with the internet. The internet is a god-awful, nasty, dirty as shit-filled, algae-growing, catfish-breeding pool. It's a cesspool. Because it has become chock full of people's random videos talking about random stuff in their cars while they fight traffic. It's full of content like mine. Just people throwing information out there. But not just that. It's full of... This is where it gets really, really dangerous for your yourself, and mostly for your mental health and for your viewpoints and for your state of mind and for your clarity. As people in large numbers, and I want y'all to listen to this. This is very important. All dozens of you. The internet is full of people suffering from a cognitive dissonance situation. And all those people follow a cycle. They get presented with something that they just can't believe, and they've got to go Google it. Google is self-medicating cognitive dissonance at least 85% of the time. At least. I didn't know. Is this true? That's pretty much what it's there for. Anytime you go to Google something, like if you're not buying something, if you're looking something up, chances are that's what you're doing. And the thing about that is, it's not only full of people searching out answers for their cognitive dissonance to make them feel better so that they can move forward with their beliefs. They then move forward and share this anesthetic information that they found with others. And it repeats, and it repeats, and it repeats. We are in the habit of grabbing our phones the second we need an answer. We go to our phones looking for an answer. Whatever happens to be within the first 5 of 3 billion freaking results. We get 3 billion results and we consider like 5 of them, and then like we just look at, I don't know, just like the 1 or 2 that just really speaks to me emotionally, and like that's totally the one I click on. Right? There's 3 billion something results for how to curl your Pomeranian's fur or whatever, you know. You get all these billions of results, and then you read like 1 or 2 articles, and then you're like, oh wow, I totally feel better now, cool. And that article was written by somebody who already went through what you're going through, got the same answers, and put the answers out on the internet. That's a big part of my channel. And treating the cognitive dissonance of when you're in a toxic relationship, you don't know it, and you keep getting presented evidence that your relationship is toxic, and you keep convincing yourself otherwise. And then you start looking, is my relationship toxic? Yes or no? And you can find information out there to go both ways. You'll find information that says, no, you should totally try to work through your differences with your partner, learn to accept them for their shortcomings, and blah, blah, blah. All the way down to, nah, they're a cheater and you need to leave. It's astounding what you can find. But this has come to a head, and it's nowhere more apparent right now than, I'm going to mention this, the final releasing of the Bob Mueller report about President Trump and the Russian collusion. The report definitively says there was no evidence of collusion, that there was evidence that Russian actors had contacted the Trump campaign on more than one occasion, and there was no evidence that the Trump campaign acted on any of it or got in cahoots with them, whatever you want to call it. It did, however, prove that the Russians did in fact attempt to influence the election. That they did issue massive campaigns of misinformation to sway voters. But look at how much people are ignoring that fact. Did you notice that? You put it in big, bold letters. It's almost as if the Mueller report is trying to point to something really, really important, and people put it in their blind spot. Russia decided to influence the U.S. election, and they probably achieved some degree of success by pushing misinformation into the internet. But what do you hear people talking about? There's some people who are still saying release the whole report. That can't be all there is to it. You got Rachel Maddow crying on TV. Crying because, as it turns out, the president is not a Russian plant or a Russian operative or Vladimir Putin's massage oil boy. They're upset that Trump and Putin were not giving each other happy endings. Apparently there was no golden showers. Apparently the Steele dossier was built on misinformation. But when it comes down to how did people get there? How did it get to the point where people are crying that the president is not a Russian spy, that he's not a Russian plant, and that he was pretty much mostly, I say mostly because I'm sure there's probably lies out there, but whenever it comes to talking about Russia and collusion, from day one he's always said there's no collusion with Russia, it's a witch hunt and a sham. Well, what did said witch hunt produce? Nothing. No evidence of collusion, and so now people are clinging to that. Well, just because there's no evidence doesn't mean it didn't happen. Well, you know, come on now. People can't accept that fact. More people are upset about that than the fact that Russia successfully waged large campaigns of deception and misinformation on the American public at large. Remember the whole Pizzagate thing about how supposedly Hillary Clinton cohorts were running child sex rings out of pizza parlors? Yeah, remember Pizzagate? Yeah, that was a fun one. That one, I believe, came from Russia. A lot of these things came from Russia. So, but no, what are people actually mad about? People are actually mad that Robert Mueller's report didn't produce any further indictments. Everyone who got indicted and convicted was convicted on everything but Russia. About other law-breaking activities that were uncovered during the investigations. And Robert Mueller did as he was instructed to do. If you find evidence of other wrongdoings, then you issue indictments and subpoenas for those as well and see what happens. And they did. They were prosecuted and found guilty of things not related to Russia. And yet people are upset and mad. Not mad about the fact that a lot of people are missing the point. You know, and this is what I want to leave people with, because I think this is very, very important. This is a question you should ask yourself. The whole Trump-Russia collusion thing has been drummed into everybody by the same people who are telling you how to feel about your fellow countrymen wearing MAGA hats saying, "Make America great again." They're the same ones telling you how you should feel about immigration. They're the ones telling you that there's no crisis at the border. They're the ones telling you how to feel about capitalism, how to feel about the patriarchy, how to feel about taxes and wealth distribution and income inequality. They're the ones telling you about socialism and how to feel about socialism and communism. They're the ones telling you how to feel about healthcare and the state of healthcare in this country. They're the ones telling you how to feel about education. They're the ones telling you how to feel about your partners. They're the ones telling you about how to feel about everything, what to think about everything, what to do about everything. And those same people who are telling you what to think, how to feel, what to do are the same ones that told you that the President of the United States was a Russian plant. So, my parting thoughts are, question everything you know. Think about it. You might not be on the right side of things, and you ought to get a little uncomfortable. If it means being right,